Episode 158 of Weighing In with Travis Hartman. I am B Money, the producer. That over there is the talent, Travis Hartman, aka Weekend Trav. It's been a minute since we met. Life happens, kids happen, twins happen, but we needed to jump in because yesterday up in New York, Madison Square Garden, Puerto Rican Day Parade, big deal up there. But we also had big deal up and coming Xander Zayas beating Patrick Teixeira, who I believe, Weekend Trav, correct me if I'm wrong, former title holder. I don't know which
Yeah.
belt, but beat him by decision there in Madison Square Garden on Puerto Rican Day Parade. That's a big deal. Okay, we've mentioned that event there for a few years, and usually it's headlined by your boy Berlanga. But
Who
in this
was there, by the
case,
way?
I'm sure he was. But in this case, kind of like the step up now, Xander Zayas. We've talked. You specifically have talked about him for a few years now.
Ed.
That is going. He is I think about to be projected and catapulted up into the next level if Top Rank will actually take off their kid gloves with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a proper step up fight because this guy was I believe it was a former interim like WBO title. So, whatever that is. But the guy was pretty good. He's 34-4, has never been stopped. Xander was coming off two straight
Yeah,
stoppage wins. So this guy broke that. But Xander Zayas, I predicted will be the next Puerto Rican star, male Puerto Rican star. I don't want to slight Amanda Serrano because she is a Puerto Rican star, but the next male Puerto Rican star, everybody was on the Berlanga train, and no disrespect to Berlanga, I just think Xander Zayas has more of the tools
yeah.
to be a better fighter long term.
Well,
And
legitimately, Berlanga has a ceiling, and I think we've seen it now.
yeah, exactly.
And he'll try to propel himself into conversations with Caleb Plant and people, which is a joke. Caleb Plant would wipe the canvas with that guy
I'd love to see it though.
repeatedly. I would love to see it too, but I don't think that's the fight Berlanga really should be clamoring for, or Canelo, or anybody like that. I think we've seen the
Yeah,
ceiling there. But the
yeah.
difference with him, not only weight, but the difference with him and Xander Zayas is that we haven't seen the ceiling there.
Yeah, Xander's only 21 years old.
Right. And he's an animal in the gym. We see others that we know that train with him down south. So I think this is a good catapult start for, or not start, but a catapult for him to hopefully jump up to an upper echelon opponent, and get himself in that conversation a bit more.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tough because you got to remember that it's the 154-pound division.
Yeah.
That's kind of a stacked division because you have now Terrence Crawford is campaigning in that division as well. So it's tough, but he's 21 and Terrence Crawford's what, 35? 36 even. So what I mean by that is that the next coming could be a Xander Zayas. And I think they're taking him
Absolutely.
properly, B Money, because I think he's been signed with Bob Arum since he was like 16 years old and he's
Mhm.
only 21. I think they're doing proper with him. I don't think you're going to see him contend for a world title until 2025. And that's
Yeah.
when I think he'll be ready. That's going to be 22 years old. He'll have, 25, 26 bouts under his belt. I think he's 19-0 now with like 12 knockouts.
Mm.
I think they're moving him properly. Usually Top Rank, I think, kind of stalls out eventually,
Yes.
which they probably will with Zayas as well. He'll probably win a world title with Top Rank and then have to leave.
I was literally just about to bring that part up. I feel like if they continue this progression, what will end up happening is what we see time and time again with Top Rank and Bob Arum. They eventually do not push the kid. He may win some gold of some sort. Actually, I think he has some sort of a weird belt now. And then there's contract disputes, and then he leaves. And we're probably going to see that with him. We're probably going to see that fast forward probably with Richard Torres as well on the heavyweight side. I had to plug him, and others.
Did you
Go ahead.
did you see Richard Torres was having a little reunion with
Well,
your
of
girl
course. I mean,
Michaela
listen,
Mayer?
listen, USA Boxing. I think what is he? A former silver medalist. He was hanging out with Michaela Mayer and the other chick as well. Um,
Ginny Futch.
listen, he can't do everything perfectly. So I'll give Richard Torres a pass on that one. It is what it is. I'm
They
not a
they got the
big
same tattoo, B Money. They
I'm
got the
not
same
she
tattoo.
copied him, according to him. She copied him. I'm not a as
She
you
was
all
in the
listening.
she was in the earlier Olympics. He was in the later Olympics, 4 years later
Well,
than her.
who knows who
So
got it first? I don't know who got it first, but as those at home that listen to my voice and see us, they know I'm not a big Michaela Mayer fan. That is what it is. If it's women's sports, the only women's sport that I'm really paying attention to and actually gambling on is the WNBA. So I'm not paying attention to that women's boxing. However, I
You've
did
been
want to
consistent
reference
there.
this. Yes, I am. I did want to reference, I don't know if you saw, but there was a cage fight last night or yesterday as well. And it wasn't Clarissa Shields, but she was in attendance for one Savannah Marshall, who is now
Yeah.
victorious first round TKO and her first foray there in the cage. And they did bring Clarissa Shields into, and they were kind of chummy actually. They were kind of like, it was like almost a friendly rivalry, whereas in the past it was kind of nasty. But who knows? They might be eventually crossing paths there in the cage. That's a little side comment on women's sports
Oh,
betting, buddy.
they will because they fought as boxers. Obviously, Shields won. So what's the next step? Let's do MMA because Shields have been doing MMA as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, good
Same,
for
same,
them. Make some
same
money.
company. I can't remember which company it is, but same promotion. Um, anyways,
Is it the PFL or no?
I don't know if it's
That was Jake
PFL.
Paul's, but I don't know.
I don't think I don't think it is. But anyways, but that being said, you know me on the show, I'm the advocate for women's sports. I want to make sure that we are at least covering that on the segment of weighing in with Travis Hartman. But back to the gentleman boxing, Xander Zayas once again. Let's close up on that conversation. Victorious. What's next for him weekend, Trav?
Yeah, I mean they're taking proper steps. I think he fights a top 10 guy, probably an up and coming top 10 guy, maybe a guy who's a little bit longer in the tooth. Even though this opponent looked longer in the tooth, he wasn't. He's in his early 30s, the guy he fought. So even though that's Xander's only 21, but I think Xander's eyes, I think his ceiling is still he hasn't met his ceiling yet.
Yep.
So I think we can still see more of Xander. When I watched Xander look good. I mean, he was popping this guy, he was hitting this guy, he was trying to go for it. When I was watching like Xander, he did well. Like, but this guy's a tough guy. This guy's been in there with
Yes.
some other top-notch 154s. He was also a lefty. He also came prepared. He was rangier. He was long. He could take a punch. Like I thought this was a perfect fight for Xander because
Yeah.
if Xander didn't come ready, this kid could have beat him. This
Yeah.
guy 100% has all of the abilities to beat Xander. And that's kind of what you want. That's how you find out if a guy's going to be a champion or a superstar is you test him. At this point, Xander was 18-0 going into this fight. It's time, right? You test him. You put him in a fight where essentially you call it a 50-50. It wasn't, but close enough that where it's super competitive. If Xander is slacking off in his training, it would have showed up. I don't believe he has been. I believe it showed up that he's very disciplined still. He's still very he's hardworking and he's ready and he's talented. And in my opinion, I'll say it again, he's the next male possible superstar from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I agree with you. He lives in the gym, so I'm not worried about his work ethic there. So once again, victorious Xander Zayas there in Madison Square Garden yesterday, taking down Patrick Teixeira. But let's switch gears. We talk about up and coming fighters, and we think, I mean, he's kind of like broke through that up and coming category, I guess, but looking maybe to cross paths with some others that will test him, that will push him, some other up and coming fighters. And what we usually see here locally, weekend Trav, is with BoxLab, the events they put on here in Orlando usually get that. Like you start seeing some of these guys that are about to be propelled to the next level. And so we saw a little bit of that. They had another event. I think that's back-to-back weekends. They had another event there at the Caribe Royale this past weekend. And we wanted to highlight a couple moments from that because we did have a local friend of the program there that fought and victoriously. So I'm going to throw it to you, Weekend Trav. Let's talk BoxLab here in Orlando and another springboard for some folks coming out of the ranks.
Yeah, these fights are on DAZN again. So
Yep.
unfortunately, because of the Twins, I'm not able to go to fights live anymore. So I watched it at home on DAZN, and it was pretty good because one guy who we've actually watched live at the Crib Royale, Corey Marksman, coming off of a draw in his last fight, which I thought he probably edged it out. But he came in impressed. He knocked out Jonathan Perez to extend his record now to 9-0. And when I'm watching guys like Corey, getting a chance to see him live, and then now I got to watch him on TV, I liked it because I think we will see Corey in a decently large fight on TV because his skills are great. He's got great skills. He also has a great work ethic, but his style just reminds me a lot of the upper echelon guys right now fighting. And a guy we didn't really talk about much that fought on the co-main event of the Xander Zayas with this Carrington guy, Bruce Carrington, I believe his name is. And listen, I'm not saying that Corey Marksman is exactly like him, I'm just saying that their styles and how fast and how quick and their timing was very similar. And I think that's a compliment to Corey Marksman because Bruce Carrington's 12-0, and they're talking about him and Inoue fighting. So for Corey Marksman to be in that conversation at all is pretty solid. But when I saw Bruce Carrington fight, and then I watched Corey Marksman fight, I'm like, Corey Marksman's got all of the levels to the levels and the skill to raise his game to be on a stage like that, fighting in Puerto Rican Day Parade at Madison Square Garden on ESPN. He fought on DAZN, so I'm not sliding that at all. He fought on DAZN, right, which is pretty phenomenal. But against a top level guy, he hasn't fought on DAZN yet, and I think that's in his future for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like to your point, 9-0 now, so he has time to do that. But what you're seeing, it's hard to put all the things together, and you know that. He has the talent, he has the work ethic. We know this, but also what you can't teach, he has, and that is the charisma. He has the connection with the audience, with the fans, and that can go one way or another, of course. But I think once he starts hitting a certain level of competition, of event, of, other televised fights, whatever that is, his record starts to beef up a bit more. And then you combine it with Corey Marksman and his own charisma and swagger and what he draws, the energy he brings to the ring. That's a great combination, and that's what we love to see. You can't teach that part. You can't teach that part. He's doing what he needs to do in the gym. He's doing what he needs to do in the ring. He is another gym rat animal. We know this.
Yeah.
But being able to connect with the fans, the audience, have the charisma, being able to sell a fight, massively important.
Yeah.
He has those intangibles that are now tangible. You need to have those going forward. So that the intangibles have become tangible. Corey Marksman has that.
I believe that you hit the nail on the head there. It's a couple things. Corey Marksman has never seen a camera that he didn't like. He's very charismatic, and I love that about him. But also, what people don't realize, I was just having this conversation with one of my buddies who's a former pro boxer, Marcos Ramirez, #1 in the world, 25-1, only lost to Ariocas Gamboa. But we just had this conversation. Once you get to the pro game, you don't necessarily get paid on how good you are. You get paid on the butts you can put in the seats, right, and the money you can bring in. And so Corey Marksman has that right now, because he's very charismatic, but also he is pretty good too. So he's got both things going for him. He just got to keep sharpening it up, pick the right opponents, start molding him into the professional that he needs to be, and keep winning these fights, keep progressing, make sure that the matchmaking is very good. And so far, the BoxLab guys have been tearing it up. And you know what? BoxLab, I want to make sure this is known, because we said this long time ago. I'm hearing these other guys on podcasts. They're like, yeah, BoxLab is making Orlando, Florida, the new hub for boxing. We said that a long time ago. All right. BoxLab, we said it 3 years ago when they first started. I was like, these guys are going to make the new hub for boxing right here in Orlando, Florida, because of BoxLab. And guess what? They actually have. People kind of laughed at us, but I was like, these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, they know. We know that they recognize that we've been on board with them since the beginning. And nothing but love here to them. And I'm glad we're starting to see other programs and other shows that might have a bigger audience finally catch on, finally recognize that, where we've been saying it, via our outlets for quite some time. So good job, guys, on that event.
Think about Amari Pedro, one of the owners of BoxLab Promotions. He said it, and I think he's 100% right. They gave an interview in the ring on DAZN last night, and they're talking about, hey, BoxLab, what are they doing? How are they doing? He's like, I think Orlando, Florida is the new hub for boxing in all of Florida. And I think he's right. Oh, yeah. I think they overtook Miami. They overtook Fort Lauderdale. There hasn't been massive fights there like there have been here. And it's true. Like we're not being biased. We're being honest. BoxLab have done all the right things over the last 3 or so years. They're bringing TV here. They brought different kinds of TV here. They're bringing different opponents here. They're promoting locally as well as globally. So they're doing great. I think Orlando, Florida, 100% is the new hub for boxing in all of Florida. And you could even go as far as to say Southeast America.
I've been saying Southeast for a year. It's Southeast. When you think about the Southeast, what other cities come to mind when it comes to boxing? ATL? You don't hear about big shows there anymore.
Not really.
Where? There's nowhere. There's nowhere.
Orlando, man. They are at the.
Orlando. You might go a little further south and get some stuff down in the Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale area. I'll give you that, just because they have the venue for for Hard Rock or wherever, pretty
Yeah,
solid.
yeah.
But no, this is it. This is such a user-friendly, tourist-friendly hub that it makes only the most sense in the world. And the Box Lab guys have capitalized on it, and you're seeing a lot of the fruit of that now. Good events that they continue to pump out. So we look forward to obviously continued success along those lines, and also bringing some of these guys up with you, such as one Corey Marksman. Happy to see that guy successful over there too. We can draft. Let's go ahead and kind of like recap. It's been a bit since we've been able to get together and do all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot. I mean, last time we chatted, I think was back after Usyk took down Fury pretty handily in a couple of those rounds, enough to win. And so a lot of recap to kind of go over. Let's start with Deontay Wilder. He may have some legal stuff going on right now with his baby mama and stuff like that. We don't want to get into that part, but let's get into the idea of, is he done? Should Deontay Wilder be done now?
I mean, according to his mama, he should be done.
Your old mama.
His mama has spoken. Yeah, his actual mama. Yeah. His mom has spoken, and according to reports, she sent a text message to him, kind of urging him, well, you've had a great career, you have a family, let's go do that. But then the new reports have come out. They're just reports, but I think there's truth to it, because they've granted his fiance a temporary restraining order against Deontay Wilder for alleged actions that have happened over the last 6 years.
Once those paychecks stop, that's when we start to see it come out.
Kick a guy while he's down, man. 2 straight losses now.
To be fair, if it's deserved, it's deserved. So we're not trying to say one thing or another.
Not advocating for anything, but it does seem the timing. She claimed I'm just repeating what I've heard in the news. She's claiming it happened over the past 6 years. So I'm just like, okay, maybe it did, but it's very, very weird and odd timing that now he's lost 2 straight.
Yeah, where was it 4 or 5 years ago, right? Yeah.
I mean, she was by his side for this last fight in Saudi Arabia, was she not? So it's kind of weird to me. But back to the actual boxing talk, because we're better at that. It sucked, but I picked a Chinaman to knock out Deontay Wilder in that last fight, and it hurt me, and it hurt me deep. It did.
I don't know if that's the proper terminology, but okay, I'll give it to you.
He's a Chinese man.
Yes. Now, what I did, I wish I don't know if my old.
Is that not proper?
I don't think Chinaman is proper anymore.
Oh.
I don't know if I don't know if I could still put my old bets up, but either way,
Zhang.
So I took Zhang to win by knockout, so that's why I won a fair amount of money. I mean, I just had a feeling, because Deontay Wilder came in so light compared to Zhang, and he just looked like a shell of himself once again for the second time in a row. He didn't look good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a feeling someone's getting knocked out, and it's not Zhang.
Yeah.
It's hard to knock out somebody that's 60 pounds heavier than you. Yeah, I don't care how much power you have. That's tough.
It is.
So anyway, Deontay Wilder, should he be, just quick gut reaction? No, just yes or no. Should Deontay Wilder retire?
That's not an easy answer.
That's a yes. I asked a yes or no. I'm asking the wrong person, because you are.
Will I think Deontay Wilder ever win a world title again? No, I don't think he'll ever win a world title again. So in that regard, for his health, I think he should retire. Yes.
Okay, but for his wallet, maybe not.
He's got a couple big paydays left.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit. We didn't mention this pre-production, but once just everyone knows this by now. But Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, that has been postponed. Some sort of a thing happened on an airplane with Tyson and an ulcer or something. It sounds a little sketchy. I'm going out on a limb here, Weekend Trav. We haven't talked about this at all, so the audience is hearing it for the first time, just like you. I really feel as if this is eventually going to be pulled from a sanctioned fight and into an exhibition the closer we get. I just have this gut feeling that there's some other health thing going on, or maybe Tyson is taking something to keep him in great shape that might not necessarily be appropriate based on the commission. I just get this gut feeling that it's not going to be a sanctioned fight by the time it actually happens.
You could be right. I do think that the reports that it was a flare up of an ulcer, I think that's bogus because they rescheduled the fight to November 15th, B Money.
They're like grounded a plane or whatever. I mean, it's kind of
Well,
like,
they no, the plane landed and they came on board, and he was whatever. He was dizzy, nauseous, in pain. But yeah, I think it was something different because if it was just an ulcer flare up, I spoke with a couple doctors. Unless he had some internal bleeding, which we don't know of, but he could have had some internal bleeding from the ulcer. That could have happened, but they're not telling us anything, obviously. But if it was just a flare up with an ulcer, the fight wasn't till July 20th. This happened to him like May 20 something.
yeah,
It seemed
yeah,
weird they postponed that. And then the postponement is all the way to November
November,
15th.
right? I
So
just,
that's what I scratched my head. I think there's some more health reasons going on, but I think it's still going to be a fight because maybe they spoke with the commission and everything, and they're like, hey, we're not going to okay him unless he's got like passes like a month's worth of tests, not just one test, but maybe months and months
well,
worth
that
of
would
tests.
officially be
That's why
about,
he's
that would be
5 months out.
that would be officially 6 off
Yeah.
of, yeah.
So that's why I think it is because I think they're going to make him take a battery of tests to come back. Because I think even though it's his medical records are very private, right? HIPAA, you can't release some certain stuff. However, I think they probably had to be honest with the commission because the commission has to approve certain things.
How
So the
long does it
commission's probably
take?
like, hey,
How long does it take for HGH to not be recognized in the system? 2 months,
I'm not sure because
human growth
I've
hormone.
never taken it, so I'm not
Me either.
sure.
But I hear good things. Maybe I need to,
I don't know. You
maybe
think I don't think he's
stem
doing it. I
cells.
don't.
Is that, I don't know. I don't know. I have this in my gut that
If he's
eventually,
doing that, then it's going to be a real fight, still, because he's just still going to try to fight.
yeah, but it won't pass, it won't clear or anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just have it in my gut. Something's gonna happen between the two of them, but I just get the impression and the
I
feeling in
hope you're
my
wrong.
deep
Hope
in
you're
my
wrong.
bowels that it's not going to be an official, mark on the record. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well,
I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot.
I just hope the fights happen. That's all, because we got tickets to it. So I just hope the fights happen because I just want to see it. I do, and I really hope that Mike Tyson lands a couple big shots on Paul.
Mm.
I don't think he will, but if it ever does happen, if there was anybody that is more deserving of a knockout over Jake Paul, it's Mike Tyson.
Mm.
If there's anybody that's gonna knock out Jake Paul and get credit for it, I want it to be Mike Tyson.
Mm.
That would make me very happy. But I don't know if it's gonna happen.
I don't know
I
either.
want it to happen. I don't think it'll happen. Meaning I don't think he'll knock out Jake Paul like everybody wants, but I really, really desperately want it to happen. But I don't know if it will. But
He'll land a shot or two where it'll shake him and everyone's gonna be oh, and it'll be kind of like maybe a couple rounds in. So then everyone's kind of on the edge of their seat, like it's gonna happen again, and then it doesn't, and then it goes to I don't know. I just kind of see this playing out the way it's gonna. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm more interested to see Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor.
agreed.
So,
That rematch is fun.
if anything, I feel terrible for them that they had to push this thing out 5, 6 months because of that. It's I wanted to see them again.
And I'm wondering though. I really haven't heard any word confirmed yet that fight is still on for November 15th.
Oh, the ladies. That's good. Good point.
I've only heard Jake Paul come out and say him and Tyson are still fighting. I assume that it's them too, but that fight, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, that fight can stand on its own. That's the thing. That could be a main event somewhere, and they don't need that because they did it once already. No, not in Dallas.
Not in Dallas.
That would have to be like in New York again, or Orlando, Florida. Let's go, or Ireland. Katie Taylor, whatever. So either way, I want to see that fight. You're right. That's a great fight. That's a fight that the fans deserve. That's a fight we want to see. That's a fight that we were on our edge of our seats watching that fight.
Well, what did I miss here on the recap? What did we miss of anything?
Well, I wouldn't say that we missed this B Money, but Adrien Broner fought over the weekend, got his tooth knocked out, and got beaten. And everybody's been saying, "Oh, Broner's washed up. He needs to retire now." Here's the deal: Broner has been a shell of himself for about 8 years. Go back and look. When's the last time he won a meaningful fight? Marcos Maidana took him out of it. I didn't even watch it. I saw
Who
clips of
watched
it
it?
when his tooth got
That's what
knocked
I
out.
mean. Like who
But
spent money to watch this?
man, I hope nobody, but it was pay-per-view. It was like it was a cheap pay-per-view somewhere, like I think it was like under $10 or something.
7.99,
Yeah,
$8.
I think it was like a 7.99. Not confirming that, but I'm pretty sure that was like a
Come on,
small
people.
pay-per-view. But listen, he claimed they tore his shoulder, blah blah blah. But this Blair Cobb is not terrible either, but he's also not great. But he dropped Broner in the second round, apparently knocking his tooth out. Adrien Broner, he is going to be a casualty to boxing, to the boxing world. This guy was super talented at like 135, got undisciplined, got fat, got cocky, got overly confident, moved up to 147, 140, started getting his butt kicked. And now this is what we're seeing. But he's been done for a while. So all these people are like, he should retire. Listen, guys, he's been washed up for a while because I bet you didn't even know he was having this fight, to be fair.
Yeah,
He signed with Don King.
just like we
Okay?
were right a long time ago with BoxLab, we've been right a long time ago with Adrien Broner.
Which is why I didn't even want to talk about him because I'm giving him credit. But I do think this could be one of the last conversations about him in the ring, because if he fights again, nobody's going to care. Nobody cared about this one, to be fair. We're only talking about it because he got beat.
That's how he got beat. Yeah.
And he got a tooth knocked out.
Yeah.
He's only 34 years old, B-Money. Like, he's not even old and washed up, but he's past his prime. He's got to go do something else. But he's broke.
No one cares.
Broke and he can't. I don't know what he's going to do.
No one cares. Put him on behind the camera or something, or not behind the camera, in front of the camera. He's at least enough of a character that someone will actually watch. Replace Tim Bradley with him, do something like that.
Please. I was tweeting about Tim Bradley. I don't know what it is, but I just can't listen to Tim Bradley anymore.
That's it. I'm saying it today. Replace Tim Bradley with Adrien Broner. There you go.
I don't even know about that. But...
ESPN, you're printing money then. You're printing money.
That's a reality TV show in itself right there.
There you go. Okay, final thoughts, Weekend Trev.
That's it. That's awesome. I'm just happy to be back. I see there's the fog has cleared a little bit. We're 7.5 weeks in, and it's cleared a little, not all the way, but we got some sort of a halfway schedule. So I'm pretty happy to make this happen. I've been trying to do a podcast and be money for the last like 3 weeks, and I keep flaking out. I've become the most flaky person alive, and I understand and realize that, but I'm not really being flaky. I'm actually committing, and then boom, something happens.
I love when he's like, "Hey, you ready? Let's do a podcast in 10 minutes." I'm like, I
never said that.
I got my own life, man.
Listen, I never said right now.
I
never said that.
He's like, I got this friend in town. Hey, can we just come over to your house right now and do it?
I might have said something like that.
I'm like, no.
That was the last minute too. I got called to it. I was like, hey, this is awesome. Maybe we could do this. And then obviously not.
Oh my gosh.
That did happen.
You cracked me up. My only final thought is this: free GARCIA. Free Ryan Garcia.
Yes. Can we get t-shirts? Free Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia. Free the king. I believe in you. That over there is the talent. Weekend Trav.
That there is B-Money, a.k.a. producer, a.k.a. the man, the myth, the legend, except when he starts telling lies, but I still love him.
God bless.
Free King Ryan.